are dead or never dead to us, until we have forgotten them. Death is just nature's way of telling you to slow down. Death reminds us that life is a temporary privilege, not an endless right. Death is not a period that ends the great sentence of life, but a comma that punctuates it to more lofty significance. Death is not a blind alley that leads the human race into a state of nothingness, but an open door which leads man into life eternal. Carve your name on hearts, not tombstones. A legacy is etched into the minds of others, and the stories they share about you. We need not fear death, for it is simply the next phase of life. We never die, we simply change form, just as we have, since the day we were born. We are born in one day. We die in one day. We can change in one day. And we can fall in love in one day. Anything can happen in just one day. The graveyard is the everlasting home of every man. Expect the one who is coming, and his name is death. And there is only one thing we say to death: not today. The hour of departure has arrived, and we go our separate ways. I to die, and you to live. Which of these two is better? Only God knows. Just make sure that the thing you're living for is worth dying for. Death is unstoppable. One must face it as a fact of life. Get busy living, or get busy dying. When I die, I would love to die smiling. If however I forget this, I hope I have someone there to make me smile. Everybody knows death is inevitably coming, but it never fails to catch everybody by surprise, every time one is going. It takes the whole of life to learn how to live, and what will perhaps make you wonder more, it takes the whole of life to learn how to die. It's not contagious, you know. Death is as natural as life. It's part of the deal we made. Depression is not a side effect of cancer. Depression is a side effect of dying. Losing someone doesn't scare me. Death doesn't scare me. What scares me is the inability to no longer feel the touch of the one you love. The truth in death can only be found in the dying itself. The only certainty life contains is death. Don't waste your time dying over the past. Spend it living in the present. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. Death is the blackboard on which life is written. To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure. Think about death being inevitable and unpredictable, exempt from the law of averages. Everyone has a turn, and no one knows when. Death helps us to see what is worth trusting and loving, and what is a waste of time. We don't lose our loved ones when they die. We gain guardian angels. Death is something inevitable. When a man has done what he considers to be his duty to his people and his country, he can rest in peace. Life is hard. Then you die. Then they throw dirt in your face. Then the worms eat you. Be grateful it happens in that order. We are dust, and to dust we shall return. Death is not extinguishing the light. It is putting out the lamp, because the dawn has come. Every day we're one day closer to death, but there's no reason to rush into it. Lives are like rivers. Eventually they go where they must, not where we want them to. The trouble with dying is that you don't get to see how everything turns out. You won't know the ending. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. I've told my children that when I die, to release balloons in the sky to celebrate that I graduated. For me, death is a graduation. The point to life is not only to live it, but to enjoy it. Losing someone you love to death is like losing a piece of a puzzle. Your world feels incomplete, and there is no piece that can fill in for missing piece. There will always be that space of missing puzzle, even if the puzzle is complete. Directing a funeral isn't about death at all. Funerals are for the living, not the dead. To live with you is to live. To live without you is to die. Forgive yourself before you die. Then forgive others. A premature death doesn't only rob one of the countless instances where one would have experienced pleasure. It also saves one from the innumerable instances where one would have experienced pain. It is as natural to die as it is to be born. The thing about love is that you will never run out of it. It's an ever-flowing river. So go ahead and love. What are you saving all this love for? Death. Dying in the line of duty is heroic, but dying while unemployed is just stupid. None of us knows the day of our death. However, if we knew that death is actually our acquisition, we would remove the fear of death from our lives. Death is a shadow that always follows the body. Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. This business of dying is not as simple as surrender to the great light. It was real and dirty and untidy. What is called a reason for living is also an excellent reason for dying. Everybody will die, but very few people want to be reminded of that fact. You start dying slowly if you do not travel, if you do not read, if you do not listen to the sounds of life, if you do not appreciate yourself. You start dying slowly when you kill your self-esteem, when you do not let others help you. You start dying slowly if you do not change your life, when you are not satisfied with your job or with your love, if you do not risk what is safe for the uncertain, if you do not go after a dream, if you do not allow yourself, at least once in your lifetime, to run away from sensible advice. Thinking and talking about death need not be morbid. They may be quite the opposite. Ignorance and fear of death overshadow life, while knowing and accepting death erases this shadow. Death. It is a strange stalker. One that we spend our whole lives running from. Some more successful than others. It always comes down to just two choices. Get busy living, or get busy dying. Sensible people get the greater part of their own dying, done during their own lifetime. Nothing, they say, is more certain than death, and nothing more uncertain than the time of dying. Death, of course, is not a failure. Death is normal. Death may be the enemy, but it is also the natural order of things. I think of death as some delightful journey that I shall take when all my tasks are done. Stop sleeping. Get to work. You will have much time to sleep when you die. Death is nature's way of saying, your table is ready. The purpose of life is to familiarize oneself with this after-death body, so that the act of dying will not create confusion in the psyche. When our men lose their hope of a future and purpose, you'll surely watch them die, a slow death in front of you. Please enjoy your health while you have it, because once your body betrays you, no comfort in the world will make up for your loss. People dying is normal. People being afraid is not normal. The dead are immune from our prison of time. The distance between the living and dead may be vast, but the space of time the dead experience when they are reunited with their loved ones is only paper thin. The only thing worse than living with regret is dying with regret. The difference of living and being dead. You can walk into your room after walking out through the door, but you cannot come out of your grave after being buried into the soil. As long as they talk about you, you're not really dead. As long as they speak your name, you continue. A legend doesn't die just because the man dies.